We keep having to make new free multiplayer lists because there are just so many good games coming out every year. More and more solid titles hit Steam without costing anything. And honestly, it's been really impressive to see how far free games have come. Now, you might see a couple repeats from past years, but most of the games in this list are new picks that we haven't talked about before. Our goal with these types of videos is always the same. We want to show you games you may not already know about, not just the ones that show up in every other video. So if you don't see Warzone, Apex Legends, or the usual big names, that's why. We did keep a few popular ones in here because they're just too good to ignore, but for the most part, these are fairly new multiplayer games that we think are worth your time. So with that being said, here is our list of the best free multiplayer games that you can play right now on Steam. Sport Animal is a simple, fun multiplayer game where you and your friends pick an animal character and jump into short matches to see who can score the most goals. The controls are pretty easy to learn and the game gets right to the point, which makes it great for quick sessions without needing to warm up or learn anything complicated. The game is really customizable too. You can change your character's colors, accessories, and overall look, and there are a ton of combinations to mess around with. Matches use physics-based movement, so every round feels a little different. The ball can bounce in pretty unpredictable ways, and sometimes you end up in funny situations just because of how the physics play out. I noticed some people feel the game can be a little rough around the edges, but it still ends up being entertaining because of how fast everything moves. Each match only lasts a couple minutes, so it is pretty easy to rotate players, switch teams, or rematch quickly. And since it's completely free with no paid cosmetics, you don't have to worry about locked items or spending money just to look how you want. If you want a laid-back game you can play for a few rounds with friends, Sport Animal is a good pick and a nice way to start off this list. Garden Rivals is a small multiplayer game built around quick matches. And it works well if you want something simple to play with a friend. The goal is pretty straightforward. You and your teammate collect fertilizer around the map and bring it back to your flower so it can grow before the other teams finish theirs. It's easy to understand and the matches move quick. The game switches between two phases. During the night, everyone is invisible, which makes movement more about sneaking around and trying not to get spotted. When the day hits, things speed up and you're scrambling to grab as much fertilizer as you can while keeping an eye out on the people you're playing against. The day and night cycle adds a nice layer of strategy without making things too complicated. The game is still pretty small, so the player base isn't huge yet, but the idea behind it is fun and the matches don't drag on. It feels like the kind of game you play when you want something different from shooters or big competitive games. It's easy to pick up and the teamwork actually matters since you and your partners need to stay on the same page. If you want a free multiplayer game that mixes light strategy with fast rounds, Garden Rivals fits well on this list and is worth checking out with a friend. Slappyball takes a simple idea and turns it into a surprisingly fun multiplayer game. You play as a walking hand on a small volleyball court, and once you get used to the movement, the matches start to feel really smooth. The physics make every hit feel intentional, so when you time a spike just right, it's way more satisfying than you'd expect from a free game. You can play 1v1, 2v2, or 3v3, and the mix of casual and ranked modes gives you more room to play however you want. I feel like the game clicks once you've played a handful of matches and start to see how positioning and timing matter. When both sides get into a solid back and forth rally, it turns into one of those matches where everyone gets locked in without even realizing it. There's also a nice amount of customization so you can make your character look the way you want without needing to spend money. Sometimes the skill gap shows in ranked, but that's normal for any multiplayer game with a tight learning curve. Overall, it's fairly simple, fast, and genuinely fun that's worth having installed if you want something easy to jump into with your friends. FragPunk is a free 5v5 hero shooter that mixes fast gunplay with a unique card system. Before each round, both teams choose shard cards that change how the match plays out. And those effects can be anything from boosting movement to completely shifting the pace of the fight. Once you get a feel for how the cards interact with your character, the matches start to really open up in a really fun way. The game has a classic attackers versus defenders format, but the added layer of hero abilities and card effects gives every round a slightly different rhythm. I feel like the game is at its best when you start experimenting with different characters and builds, because that's when you get those moments where a card combo turns a losing round into maybe even a winning one. It's easy to pick up, but there's enough moving parts to stay interested if you stick with it. There are times where things can feel a little chaotic or unbalanced, but that comes with a system that changes every round. If you want a multiplayer shooter that isn't just a copy and paste of Valorant and is slightly different, this one brings something different to the table while still being easy to jump into. Who's Who is a free multiplayer party game built entirely around deception and blending in. You're dropped into a crowd of NPCs, and the goal is either to figure out who the real players are or hide well enough that nobody spots you. Once the match starts, it gets pretty tense in a fun way because everyone is second-guessing every movement, trying not to look out of place. Each character comes with their own little abilities, so you're not just hiding, you're actively trying to trick people. I feel like the game shines when you're playing with friends and everyone starts getting bold, doing, weird movements or messing around with each other just to throw people off. Those moments where someone slips up and suddenly the whole lobby chases them down are genuinely hilarious. It's simple, but that simplicity is what makes it easy to jump into. You don't need to learn a bunch of mechanics or systems to enjoy a couple matches. This sort of game format we've actually seen a lot, but if you like social deduction games and games that get people laughing while also trying to stay unnoticed, this is one that you should look into. Skate is a free-to-play skating game that focuses completely on movement, flow, and pulling off tricks. It keeps things straightforward so you can jump in and start messing around right away. And once you get the timing down, linking tricks together feels really smooth. The map is built to give you a ton of places to grind, flip, or just go around without needing to worry about any complicated systems. The game has multiplayer sessions where you can skate with friends or just chill in a shared space while everyone practices their moves. I feel like that's where the game really does click. It's not trying to be a huge competitive game, although there are modes for that. It's just giving you a place to skate and have fun without any pressure. Customization is also a big part of it, letting you tweak your character and board to fit your style. It's pretty easygoing overall, and since it's free, there's no reason not to hop in and see if it scratches that skating itch. If you like Skate 3, you'll probably like Skate, and you should definitely check it out. World of Sea Battle is a free naval MMO set during the Age of Sail, and it gives you a ton of freedom right from the start. You command your ship, take on missions, and explore a world full of islands, ports, and dangerous trade routes. The ships handle with weight and momentum, so fights feel slower and more tactical, which fits the whole theme really well. The multiplayer side is where the game feels most alive. You can work with other players to raid merchant ships, join big naval battles, or team up to defend a port. I feel like the game becomes way more fun once you're sailing along with your friends because coordinating your ships and lining up shots together makes every fight feel more earned. Even small victories feel good when you're all trying to keep your ships afloat. It's still in early access, so some things can feel a bit rough, but there's enough content to get into if you enjoy old school naval combat. If you want a slower, more strategic multiplayer experience where teamwork actually matters, this is a solid one to try out. Arena Breakout Infinite is a free extraction shooter built entirely around tension and risk. Every raid feels like a gamble because whatever gear you bring in can be lost if you mess up. The handling of guns and the weight of your kit and the slower, more tactical pacing make the game feel grounded. Once you get used to moving carefully, scanning corners, and checking your stamina, the whole loop starts to feel really satisfying. The multiplayer side is where the game really does shine. You can run raids solo, but going in with friends adds a whole new layer of strategy. When you're communicating, calling out enemy movement, and deciding when to push or fall back, the experience becomes way more immersive. I feel like that's when the game kind of hooks you. Those moments where you barely survive a firefight, patch yourself up, and sprint to the extraction with your heart pounding. Now, it's not the most casual shooter on this list, but That's part of what makes it stand out. The intensity of each raid and the focus on sound and the feeling of losing or saving your gear make every match feel personal. If you want a multiplayer game that rewards patience and smart decisions, this one is absolutely worth jumping into. Play Together is a lighthearted online social game where you jump into a shared world full of minigames, exploration, and small activities to do with other players. It has that relaxing pick up and play feel where you can just log in for a few minutes or spend an entire evening running around doing whatever sounds fun. The whole game leans into that cozy, just hang out and mess around vibe rather than trying to overwhelm you with too many mechanics. There is a big focus on doing things with friends, racing, fishing, small challenges, or just exploring the different areas together. I feel like the game really works when you're in a group and everyone is off doing something different, but still chatting and jumping into random events as they pop up. It's simple on purpose, and that makes it a great option for people who just want a calm multiplayer experience. Also, it's good to note that this is also a good game for you to find other people online, other friends. And you can also customize your character, decorate your home, and slowly build out your little space in the world. Nothing here is stressful or intense. It's just about having a laid-back place to hop into whenever you want something easy. If you're into social games or just want something friendly to play with others, this one fits right in. Cave Crawlers is a free-to-play roguelite multiplayer game where you and up to 9 other people dive into randomly generated caves full of monsters, spells, loot, and bosses. The core loop is straightforward. Pick your weapons, mix in some talents, go through a cave, fight the big threat at the end, then repeat with different builds. What I like about it is how flexible the game becomes when you switch things up. One run you might be taking through depth with a heavy weapon, the next you're focusing on casting spells and dodging like crazy. The game is definitely at its best when you're playing with a group. Covering each other and discovering secrets deep in the tunnel systems all help make the experience more memorable. The game isn't without its rough edges. Since it's still under active development, you'll sometimes bump into bugs or find that certain builds feel much stronger than others. But for a free game, the value is pretty high, and it offers a satisfying loop that you can come back to again and again without feeling like you're hitting the same wall. That's why Cave Crawlers earns its place on this list. SCP Secret Laboratory is a free multiplayer horror game set inside a chaotic underground facility where everything is falling apart. Every round gives you a different role: security, scientists, Class D inmates, or one of the SCP creatures, which keeps the entire experience unpredictable. The game thrives on unpredictable moments. 1 second you're creeping through dark hallways hoping you don't run into anything dangerous, and the next you're sprinting for your life because someone opened the wrong door. This game gets really good when everyone gets into character and the proximity voice chat starts creating those chaotic, funny, and genuinely tense encounters that only SCP can really deliver on. No match ever really plays the same, which is a huge part of the appeal. And honestly, this game just keeps showing up in our best game lists because it deserves to. We love this game, and we have so many great memories playing it over the years, especially on livestream for those who have been around for a few years. They keep updating it too. Some of the biggest updates the game has ever had were made this year. And the community is still thriving and hilarious every time you hop in. SCP Secret Laboratory will never not be peak. It's incredible, and that's why we had to include it on this list again, probably for the 20th time. STRAFTAT is a free multiplayer FPS that leans all the way into speed, momentum, and pure chaos. The whole game is built around fast strafing, sharp aim, and using the environment to your advantage. So matches end up feeling way more intense than you'd probably expect from something this simple on the surface. Once you pick up the movement, the flow of combat starts to really click, and you get those moments where you're zipping around the map, landing shots while barely touching the ground. Playing with others is where the game really finds its groove. Everyone's flying around at high speeds, trading hits, and trying to outmaneuver each other, and it creates a style of multiplayer that's easy to jump into, but surprisingly hard to master. I feel like the fun comes from how quick the matches are. Win or lose, you're right back in the action, trying a different approach, or adjusting how you move. The more you play, the more you start to feel the skill curve, and that's what keeps you coming back. The game has been getting pretty steady attention, and the developers keep improving it with updates that add new gameplay options and quality of life changes. If you want a free shooter that rewards movement just as much as aim, this one is absolutely worth having installed. Redsec is a free battle royale that drops you into fast, chaotic matches with a focus on gunplay and quick decision making. The pacing sits right in that sweet spot where you're not running around for 10 minutes with no action, but you also get enough downtime to reposition and plan your next move. It has that familiar BR loop, drop in, gear up, survive, but it keeps things streamlined so you're always pushing towards the next fight instead of waiting around. What makes it stand out is how many wild moments the game creates on its own. Fights break out pretty fast, third parties show up out of nowhere, and the map design encourages you to take risks instead of just hiding. The audio and mechanics could use a little bit more polishing, but even with that, it's still a really good game. As someone who was a huge Warzone fan before the last couple of years dragged it downhill, Redsec was genuinely refreshing. It actually delivered a fun BR experience without trying to reinvent the wheel in a bad way. Seeing other battle royales pop up and push the genre forward is always a good thing. And Redsec shows there's plenty of room for more competition. If you've been craving a new BR to jump into, this one is absolutely worth trying. Supermarket Together is one of those games that takes a simple idea and turns it into something way more fun than you'd expect. You and a bunch of other players run around a supermarket trying to complete tasks, stock shelves, grab items, and keep everything from falling apart. It has that chaotic, everyone is doing everything at once energy that makes every match feel a little different. And once things start getting messy, it becomes hilarious, but in the best way. The multiplayer side is really what sells it. When you're coordinating with your friends, or trying to at least, you end up with moments where someone is racing a cart across the store while someone else is desperately restocking something that customers won't stop grabbing. The game definitely really works when everyone kind of leans into the chaotic nature instead of just trying to be perfect, because that's when the funny stuff happens. It's simple, but it really does nail the party game vibe that keeps you wanting to run another round. There's also a steady flow of small updates and tweaks that keep the game feeling fresh. And since it's free, it's an easy one to convince your friends to download and play together. If you enjoy multiplayer games that don't take themselves too seriously and just want something that's pure cooperative chaos, this one is an easy recommendation. BAPBAP is a free top-down action multiplayer game that plays like a fast, condensed MOBA without all the extra fluff. You drop into quick matches, pick a hero, and immediately start brawling with other teams. The pace is pretty snappy, fights break out constantly, and the small maps make sure you're always right next to the action. It's one of those games where you can hop in for just a match or end up playing for hours without realizing it. What makes it so fun is how clean the controls feel. The abilities are pretty easy to understand, but there's still a lot of room to outplay people by timing your movement and coordinating with your team. I feel like the real magic of the game shows up when a fight gets hectic and everyone is just dashing around, landing abilities and trying to secure the final hit. It's definitely got the easy to learn but tough to master sweet spot without being overwhelming. The best part is how quickly you can learn a character and start having fun. There's no giant item shop or long matches that drag things out, which is good. If you want a free multiplayer game that's fast, skill-based, and perfect for short sessions with friends, this game is absolutely worth having installed. Free open world action game that has a lot of inspiration from the Ghost of Tsushima style and its combat, atmosphere, and the general way you move through the world. And honestly, that's not really a bad thing at all. The swordplay feels pretty crisp, and the presentation is strong, and the world gives you enough freedom to explore, fight, and take on quests without ever feeling stuck in one place. The game has been blowing up recently, and for good reason. Once you get a feel for the movement and combat, it becomes one of those games where you just want to keep pushing forward to see what's over the next hill or what new enemy type you'll run into. I feel like what makes it stand out is that it's not trying to really reinvent anything. It's just delivering a solid, stylish experience that feels good to play, based on a proven game, which is Ghost of Tsushima. It still has some areas that could use refinement, but the core game is already strong. Seeing a free title come out with this level of polish and scale is actually pretty rare. And if you're into open world action games with fast combat and beautiful settings, this one is absolutely worth checking out. Not to mention that it is multiplayer. So it might borrow from a big name title, but it does it well, and the end result is a genuinely fun experience. Well, that wraps up our list of the best free multiplayer games that you can jump into right now. There's a ton of variety here, whether you want something competitive, something chaotic, or something you can just relax and play with friends. Free games can be hit or miss, but all of these are pretty solid picks that are absolutely worth trying. And you might even find a new favorite to sink a bunch of hours into. If there are any other free multiplayer games that we didn't include in the list, be sure to let us know down in the comments below. And if you enjoy our content, consider subscribing and giving the video a like. It really helps us out and lets us keep making more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will see you in the next one.